Welcome to the Dialogue Internet Radio Network and another episode of Dialogue Podcast with Abel Rodriguez.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dialogue with Abel Rodriguez podcast. I'm Abel Rodriguez, and here we are on the other side of the pandemic, and now it's time to grow ourselves back to where we were before this crazy thing did whatever it did to you or me, anybody. And what's really neat is that we are very happy to welcome back to our microphones Mandy Shantyne Lopez. How you doing,
Thanks,
Mandy?
Abel. I'm good, and I'm glad to be back talking to you.
Good. So, it's been a while, just really interested in how did you use your time in the last almost 2 years of interesting times? Did you go out and learn stuff? Did you do like me and lock the doors and don't go nowhere? But you just tell me, what have you been up to? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Well, you know what? I have 2 years. I can't even believe it's 2 years. I can't even believe
right?
where the time has gone. Number
Absolutely.
one, right?
Right.
And I have just been growing the portal, growing my business, helping people become more familiar with sound healing and the chakras and the frequencies in their body in a very artistic meets science approach. And I work a lot at the University of Texas with some students and, with private businesses. And of course, I always have the gallery for session and for events. And we'll talk more about that later. A new project that is being birthed and is living in Mesilla, New Mexico, in the historical part, is my second location, which is called Aura CBD Apothecary and Aromatherapy. So there my partner and I designed our own brand of CBD. So you can get, for sleeping, not sleeping, pain, inflammation, different kinds of flavors. There's a chocolate bar. And we're really incorporating more of the aromatherapy and the importance of essential oils and herbs, which brings me to
before you start, I just want to let you know that I today went to an orthopedic surgeon about a knee problem and found out that I am chronic on when your joints hurt. What is that? With arthritis.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
at first I went in there because I was told that I had a slight tear of my meniscus, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm in that age group now. Everything happens to you between the age of 60 and 70. If you can make it, if you can make it through there, you'll be okay. But but it was funny because everything is caught up with me. I played high school football. I played little league football. I went out for UTEP for 1 year, almost got killed. But I played 12 years of rugby. I played 12 years of rugby, and all that.
Ooh, that's cool.
All that tore into my knee, and as it is, I'm slightly bow-legged. And what I thought was like an athletic injury, torn meniscus, let's fix it, is now going to be chronic pain for me for probably the rest of my life, depending on how good I change my lifestyle. For real now, I got to drop the meats. I got to try to get away from the meats and work on the good stuff and try to lose some weight and take less pressure on my knee and all that. But your CBD stuff, it was just amazing what happened this past weekend, and what happened in New Mexico and how it's opened some doors. And here in El Paso, New Mexico, as I like to call it, there's a relationship that a line really doesn't define. A lot of people that have worked like you with CBD here, in El Paso and or surrounding areas are now able to open shop in New Mexico. And CBD is actually it's medicine. So I mean, tell us a little bit about of that, because I am going to be looking for pain relief.
Yeah, 100%. So basically, what I teach at the portal in my own philosophy is we have the capability to regenerate ourselves. So I believe, follow your doctor's regimen, Abel, and a couple of new holistic modalities, and even get rid of the meat. And I would probably bet that you'll start to, rejuvenate what's missing in your disc of your knees. Absolutely, because you're that powerful of a human being, and our bodies are designed to regenerate. And that's what's amazing about being a human. And so with the CBD is completely legal across the board in all states. It's medicinal. So what's happening with the CBD, it's taking the derivative of the THC, and it's just taking the medicinal qualities. It's not going to get you high, and it's not going to come out in a drug test like, oh, you've been smoking weed. If your employer would do such a thing to you. And I know some people, worry about that, but CBD is completely legal across all 50 states, and it is a medicinal. And the very first really popular form of CBD was called Charlotte's Web back in the early,
Right.
2000s,
Absolutely. I remember that.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Because there was a little girl named Charlotte, and she was
Correct.
having seizures, and this CBD farm created her own, like formula alchemy for her called Charlotte's Web. And they found that when they would give this little girl, a couple of drops of CBD every day, she was no longer having seizures. And that became the aha moment. Like, what? Like, what is this? What is this miracle that's taking place? And not just for seizures, but inflammation. Like you said, we have the topical oils that you'd ingest for the inside of the inflammation. And then we have the ones that you would put on your actual skin, like a CBD balm with some frankincense and peppermint essential oils. So it's a CBD alchemy with the plant of the sense of the oils that's also working in this fine tunement to help with whatever's on your body. So for you would rub it on your knees, and it would feel really relaxing and soothing. And then it would be working both inside and outside. And these are very natural things. These are of the earth. This is what's meant for us to use.
Let's go back to that word you used, because I didn't even know what that word meant when I first saw it, but you used it, and it's apothecary.
Apothecary.
And the history of it. These were the people that were actually the first, the people that would give out things for medicine, and they used, they were called the apothecary, and they would, you'd go and tell them, "Oh, I heard here," and they would fix something up naturally. The whole thing is about that. This is natural stuff that they came up with.
100%, yes. So the form of an apothecary is using everything that is natural. So in modern day, an herbalist, back in the day, they would say all the witches had the herbs and the brews and potions and elixirs. And really everyone was just building their own apothecary. And, we use glass bottles and like cool packaging, and we're using herbs and plants and using that really organic part of what we have here on the planet to work with, that's no longer this synthetic chemical pharmaceutical outlet to only put a band-aid on one thing and then start to increase the damage of another thing. So in that form, why I'm really talking about CBD, not just because we're opening Aura and because we already do that here at the portal. You've had aromatherapy CBD oxygen.
Absolutely.
Right? You liked it?
Absolutely. Oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
it.
And
it's just trying to make a habit out of doing it, where eventually in the long term, it's like it becomes part of your daily constitution.
Yeah, I like that. Your daily constitution. Yes, absolutely. And so that's why on, where we're jumping Abel, you and I, and we're getting like, oh, okay, we're recalibrated in a different way is, our show. So going into this next version of Transmissions of a Cosmic Woman is going to have this metamorphosis of our cosmic native conversations. And the reason why I decided to use these two words, cosmic and native, is because I wanted everyone to identify the word cosmic as your organic self, your indigenous self, that self that is, we're Hispanic, right? We're Mexican, so we're both Spanish, but we're indigenous. So
very much so. As a matter of fact, I've tried more and more to attach myself to that part of my being and understand, how advanced the old people were, right? The indigenous people, they were very advanced, and you look at the pyramids and you look at the way everything's put together and the mathematics that must have gone into making that all work, and then coming up with the idea for floating gardens, to grow stuff. I mean, all that is highly intelligent people, and even with that, okay, and we talk about it, and and kind of like the times that we're on now, even with highly intelligent people, that civilization disappeared. So we're over here acting like we ain't going anywhere, but you know what? We better watch out because things change.
Our species is definitely declining, but hey, we can turn that ship we can turn it around by just coming back to, like I said, our cosmic self. And for us, since we're on the border, I like to call the border of Juarez, El Paso, and New Mexico, the three trifecta, the three trifecta border, because those are all borders that are a fusion of each other's energies. And we have so much of that land. So in New Mexico, they're growing hemp, and now they're growing cannabis. And that's a rich, spot for us to really start to come back into this notion of the plants, and there's mushroom medicine and stuff like that, but really just staying with the basics of that concept of like, our elders, knew. So guess what? We need to tap back into that. We need to step away from technology. We need to step away from that quick fix of the pill or the chemical or whatever it is that we want to, for a short moment, get that dopamine up in our brains. And let's really identify, one, what can I use naturally to, ease my pain or inflammation in the moment? But then two, which comes to the native part of the cosmic native, is the native of being back in tune with that really high universal consciousness, ancient self, which is going back to, who are you really? Why are you here? Are you destined for doom and gloom, with the deterioration of the body? Or is there something that can be done to reverse that and to convert that and to completely, cultivate yourself in a way that you are just reborn, and it doesn't matter what age you are, and we can stop that aging process the way we believe it to be, because there's, back in the day, what people thought. I saw this meme, and it was of B. Arthur. Remember B. Arthur?
Yes.
Okay, and then do you know who Lisa Rinna is?
I'm not quite sure.
She's like a soap star. She looks super young, but they did a meme between the two of them, and they were like, back in the day when everybody thought what you should look like when you're 50. And it was like that you should look like B. Arthur when you're 50. But in this day and age, everyone's looking like Lisa Rinna, young, thin, healthy, active. And so the point that I'm trying to make is, we don't have to keep on this like play that if we reach a certain age, our life is done and we should get ready for the body parts to start falling and get ready to get in your coffin. It does not have to be that way. We now have it in our reach to go back to that cosmic native self and be like, okay, what am I, as a mind, a body, and a spirit? And how can I really use the ancient knowledge into this modern day with now these things, especially at our border, that are at our fingertips to use as far as the apothecary medicine, right? And to also get our brain right too, because when we start to like ingest those plants, or just start to investigate in that realm of the organic sense of the earth and the medicine in that sense, we're already starting to tell the brain to act differently, that the brain's starting to like activate those senses. And what's really interesting, Abel, is that, in my gallery, my favorite thing to do, of course, is the aromatherapy CBD oxygen, because there's a study done on essential oils, which is plant medicine, but it's just the scent of the oil, right? And something about the particles in essential oil, when it's pure high grade, goes into your nostrils, and it's activating your limbic system, right? We've talked about that before, the limbic system, which is in the mind. And only essential oils have the capability to really like go into those neurons and those senses and to really affect it in a completely different way. And it's activating something in that limbic system that might be subconscious, that might be dormant, that you might have to look at and deal with, that might come to the surface and seem bad, but it's actually detoxing you. Just so many things, all because we activated those, those senses in the nasal cavity that only essential oils can reach.
The first time I used essential oils, I'm not doubting Thomas and all that kind of crap. But the thing was that I did it on the bridge right here, and oh my God, it was a lot of lavender, but it was amazing, and the effect it has, that the mind loves to be affected by through the mouth or through wherever you like to feed yourself and all that. Honestly, I think also talking about the way one nourishes their body. I got to start all over, but the thing is that contemporary. Um, the jig is up on fast food for me.
Yeah, good.
The problem is that I come from advertising, so I see a bitchin' hamburger on TV, and there I go running in the car. I mean, Pavlov's dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
get there and I have it, and I'm totally disgusted with taste and even look on TV. The look is beautiful, right? Because that's what advertising agencies do. But the real product itself is just not even close.
Yeah.
Even in size. I mean, the world's changing when honestly, uh, the Big W in Texas. I won't even say the name of the company, but
Oh,
the Big
yeah.
W. Well,
Uh-huh.
I used to be able to get grilled tomatoes, and grilled onions, and I'd even grill the jalapenos. And now, because of the way everything's changed, and people left their jobs, and you got new people in, and all that, the first thing
Mm-hmm.
I got ever, which I was in shock. Oh no, sir, we don't grill tomatoes.
You were like,
I
what?
mean,
What reality did I step into?
yeah, exactly. But the thing is that things are changing right now. I mean, even the other one with the big M, the way they're putting stuff out. If you buy one, it's like, it's expensive. But if you buy two, they drop down the price. But you ended up having two of something you should have even not have one of.
Yeah.
Because in your mind, you as a young person, I was brought up to Hamburglar and
Ronald
yeah,
McDonald.
you know what I'm talking about, right? It's like
Yeah.
you wouldn't even your dad would, are you guys hungry? And out of the kids' mouths, Happy Meal, Happy Meal, Happy Meal. But
Yeah.
that's amazing. It can't be that way anymore. It can't,
No, it can't.
it can't.
No, it can't. And what's cool is that the fact that you're acknowledging it, I'm acknowledging it, other people, that means we've hit awareness. That we're like, all right, you know what, this system's not working for us anymore as far as our body, as far as the mass producing and killing of animals, do you know? And that's not to say that I'm like a strictly vegetarian. I try to be pescatarian, so I'm still eating fish. But it's also in our evolutionary process to be gentle with ourselves. So if you're like, I'm not gonna eat a hamburger every day, but I just can't, like, so my mind isn't crazy, I need to have it at least once a week, then I mean, that's on you. Just be gentle with yourself and non-judgment, and you'll start to see the progression of your body will just start to like reject more of that bad stuff more and more, and to just have a conscious awareness of it, because it's cool that we are evolving in such a way that we are having these conversations and saying, oh my God, I used to love going to Whataburger, and now like I can't even stand looking at the meat or whatever, because that's your body saying, I'm ready to evolve, I'm ready. And remember, we're a whole system of chemicals. So the chemicals are not working for us anymore. They're
They're
either
not.
bringing some kind of disease or ailments, or they're messing with our moods and our minds. And they're
Right.
saying like, boom, right?
Right. I mean, you can talk about that, like about sugar, and refined sugar. And once again, when man puts his little pinky and stuff, he screws it up. I mean,
Yeah.
sugar is in everything. It's in
Yeah.
fruits. It's in natural. And then, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but I remember pure cane sugar from Hawaii, right? CNH,
Hmm.
pure cane sugar from Hawaii, and it was natural. And how can something coming off a island, be messed up or whatever? And then you find out
Yeah.
that, well, in Hawaii, we keep the cane sugar and we send you the refined sugar.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and not knowing that stuff, because as consumers, we're just driven by our mind and what we see. And
Hmm.
when's the last time, you read something on a label? We do that all the time
Yeah.
now, but back then
Yeah.
we didn't,
Totally.
we
No.
didn't do that.
Yeah, and again, it's just because, again, we're in a system of mass producing. Even like, oh, I'm going to say something controversial, but even this thing that now cannabis, everyone can smoke it in New Mexico. Let's hope that it stays authentic, and there's not like a mass producing kind of, syntheticness to it, like that has now happened in Colorado. but we'll be optimistic. So basically everything that we, chicken nuggets, sugar, anything that we mass produce, we're getting more of the artificial synthetic than the original, right?
Right.
Because the original it takes time to grow and cultivate and all that stuff. And to just be like, let's have a bunch of it overnight. Well, something's got to give. And that means
And
the
it does.
original, exactly.
Yes.
The original authenticity. And then it's filled with those bad chemicals we're reading. And we're like, does cornstarch? Like, why? What is this? What is this gum glue that's in my stuff?
Or you hear guantanamine sulfide. I just made that word up, but you're like, but it's on the
like
label.
Yes.
because by law they got to tell you everything that's in the thing, and yet to us we're like, well, it must be good for you. It's that kind. So you're saying mind, body, and soul. So we're talking about body. What about the changes right now as far as trying to keep your mind sharp, and trying to beat Alzheimer's, or even trying to, I'm ready to take Preligen just because of the damn commercial. Because supposedly it keeps your mind sharp and all that kind of stuff. But once again, marketing. I'm a sucker for marketing.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing is that number one, I would say, like, for the benefit and the health of everyone's mind, is to turn off their TV. Because it's constantly feeding you the next stimuli for your brain to say, do I need that? I want that. Is that going to taste good? Is that, and to rely more on like a natural stimuli of the self, that sometimes we don't always need to fulfill that like feel good moment. What if we, didn't, and then we start to train ourselves, like, we don't have to be so impulsive, right?
Right.
And also on the level of like mind and Alzheimer's and stuff like that, at the portal here, I do a lot of workshops and one-on-one coaching with people to get their mind in a clear space. And that's a lot of, just going through the basic understanding sometimes of how we get lost into depression or anxiety, and really just decoding, like, the illusion that we might have about our life, the world, the expectation, just the reality. And sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves in a reality that only exists in our head.
That's right.
And with Alzheimer's and dementia, there have been studies that if you start to feel that happening to you, or you have an elderly parent or something that's happening, the best thing is to get a coloring book. You can get them like at the dollar store, with sacred geometry shapes, and have them color or trace with markers sacred geometry. And the thing with the sacred geometry is, as they're doing this, and as if they're developing or developed into Alzheimer's or dementia, is the tracing of the shapes starts to reactivate the circuitry of their brain. And so the circuitry that's like kind of dormant or dying or not having that connection anymore can have the ability to regenerate itself, to regrow, because you're tracing these particular sacred shapes. And it's because of the lines in which they're created. I mean, a lot of them are like in the Kabbalah. A lot of them are based on Egyptian sciences, or just, normal geographies. And if you really go and study them, like, they're cute, they're nice designs, but they're actually very practical in that sense. Something as simple as coloring or tracing, the brain will start to recognize these very like ancient native archetypes of symbols, because the mind works with symbols. And this is a perfect moment. Can I read 3 sentences to you about the psyche really quick?
Of course.
This goes perfect. So watch. So I was reading this, and it was like, the psyche comes from Greek psyche, meaning soul, and logos, the intelligent principle governing the cosmos. So true psychology is the knowledge of the relationship of the soul with the divine. And esoteric psychology, which is basically what we're talking about, the encompassing of it all, is the highest and most potent level of the knowledge, which is private and interior, and is entered into levels according to the internal spiritual process of the seeker. Esoteric psychology, as studied in the light of universal Gnosticism, can be found in all scriptures of the ancient religions. These teachings are taught in parables or stories, often with obscure symbols that are understood only to those who know. Gnostics, or in other words, those who have been initiated into the hidden knowledge. This is why we complement the study of psychology with alchemy and Kabbalah. Real alchemy is the scientific and chemical basis of inner transformation. So everything is about symbols in our psyche, whether we are aware of it or not. So
Right.
sacred geometry,
Yeah, you're right.
right?
I mean, if you're, we don't give ourselves enough credit for being at a higher plane. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we on the planet are the smartest of the humans and the animals. I mean, the humans are the smartest, but they don't understand that. You hear that thing about, well, a human only uses like a third of his brain. Well,
Yeah.
that's not going to cut it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. I mean, how do you get people of high intelligence? It's all
Mm-hmm.
about their
Mm-hmm.
brain. It's all about what's going on in there and how they process, like what you were saying, mathematics, being the main centerpiece
Mm-hmm.
of everything,
Yeah.
it really what it is. I mean, you got a little girl from Mexico that they say is smarter than Albert Einstein.
Oh yeah, I mean the kids in Mexico learning mathematics, they're like light years beyond, our normal mathematics here in the States.
Right. Yeah,
They
she's
just
recognized
boom.
as a genius, which is amazing. So, okay, so you got the mind, and we talked about nourishing the body. So, what do you do after you've been through 2 years of whatever you've been through for your soul? I mean, there was a lot of people that were examining their soul, and some of them were not feeling too good about what they saw.
Yeah, and this is my favorite subject, the soul, the energy, the spirit, the metaphysical part of us. This is why I do what I do. This this is where, again, it's okay for us to look at ourselves and be like, whoa, I don't like who I am. I don't feel good. I feel dark. This is good because that means there's awareness. There's no longer ignorance where you're not even thinking about it. So one, there's awareness. Two, I always encourage people that you have to have some kind of basis of spiritual, something. If you want to go and sit with the plants and that makes you feel like you're at church, go for it. If you want to go and do yoga every day because that's you connecting to your spirit, go for it. So anything that's going to connect you to your spirit, however you want to see it. I always say this: if it's your higher self, if it's your God, if it's cosmos, if it's whatever you want to think, but it's a higher connection, it's an energetic connection, and it's about developing a routine where you feel lighter, where you feel the life force. That's where the connection is happening. And the thing is that, some people might stray and be like, well, I'm not religious and I don't like this and I don't like that. And it's not about religion. It's about you yourself having a personal spiritual regimen, um, like taking note of how your spirit feels, your aura. Do you always feel like you got negativity on you, or are you trying to work that positivity? And I love, sometimes on Sundays, I'll go to a Catholic mass and then I'll go to the Buddhist temple and then I go home and like read my esoteric stuff, because that's me just being in the folklore of everything and appreciating, if not the stories, the art, the rituals, the mantras, the sounds of just that space of invoking the spirit, So at the portal, what I like to do and what we're going to do here most recently in May is we're going to have a Professor Ken from UTEP. He's a mathematician and he's going to give a lecture on his equation for karma mathematically. You'd really like that, Abel, because you're talking a lot about mathematics right now. So the equation for karma in a very mathematical sense. And so that's what I'm saying is, like, for a lot of the art that I create, whether it be visuals or sound or whatever it is, has to deal with a lot of deities. I love working in the energy of Christ. I love working in the energy of the Taras. I love work because it's not about religion. It's about the beautiful energy that it brings to us, the creativity, we can seek refuge in these great myths, stories, folklores, mantras, all these things, visuals. And it's okay. It's okay to be like, let's lose our spirit into something higher than us and then be one with it. So we're not separated, but we're one with it. And we're like, oh yeah, except I'm the one in the body here experiencing this reality. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But when every now and then when I need something extra, from the eyes up here or to the side of us or all over the place, I can tap into that notion because I have the power in my mind, my body, and my spirit. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. You hit it right on the money. One of the things about you know, you hear phrases like lost souls, and then you hear stuff like I think I'm going dark because I just don't feel my soul anymore. Well, the bottom line really is if you have no soul, you're gone.
Yeah, you're basically not even in the body anymore.
Yeah, you're gone.
You know?
And and it's sad because when that happens, and if you're still alive in your body, well, then your body's going to seek out anything to try to get a vibe, whether it's drugs, bad drugs, or opioids, or gambling, or whatever it is. But gambling makes your soul feel good if you win until you lose, right? I mean, all these things that are addictions, they take over because your soul has checked out.
Yeah, and it goes again to when there's no connection anymore to that spirit, the stimuli of your mind is seeking instant gratification, the gambling, the drugs, the food, all that stuff. Because why? Because it's only now from its human. It's not working off of that like infinite source of spirit coming through life force, right?
No, you're absolutely right. Hey, we got about 5 minutes left, so let's talk a little bit about the direction of your new podcast. You'll be back on the Dialogue Internet Radio Network podcast platform, and where are you going from here? Did you name it? Did you give us all the new stuff so we'll be ready for the first one you do?
Yeah. So we're going to go with Cosmic Native Conversations, because it's all about just what I read about the psyche is it's all about having conversations. It's all about really like connecting with the person and asking. I feel like I ask some pretty good questions because I'm also trained in mediation. So you know what to ask. So I just like to dive into people's psyche, and I like to know what's going on, and I like to collaborate with them. We're going to have a couple of special shows where it's creative intel with my friend Miguel, and he is a full-time fine arts teacher at EPCC, and he does the show Creative Thinkers on PBS, which I was on episode 33. Catch that if it's still on somewhere. And we share a lot of the same kind of our filter of reality is through everything is creative. So we're going to dissect the science of all the arts and make that integration of the mind, the body, and the spirit. And just talk to some other people more about plant medicine and CBD and cannabis and the legalities of it, the medicine behind it, the creativity behind it, because you can do a lot of creative things with it. And just really have, like I said, that conversation. And I want to have conversations, and then I want to be able to direct you to a platform, whether it be my website or my guest websites, to actually get on and like try courses or go to events or support other local artists with their work or whatever it may be. And just, for me, Abel, I realized that who are we, right, to do podcasts and to just like be talking, like, who are we? For me, I want to give whoever wants to listen to our conversation, whoever wants to be a part of the conversation, a more practical, tangible direction and method to really assist in the evolution that we're on, because we're all on it in some way. We're all on it. We might be in different levels and points of perspective, but we're on it. And it's my greatest joy to share my creative intelligence and to explore and to see what people are into or what they would like to create with me or experience. And so that's the direction of where Cosmic Native Conversations is going to go. And so we're excited to talk about a lot of things.
So where can people find you right now before you get into the first podcast if they want to go check you out with everything that we've talked about today?
Yeah, so you can totally find me on Instagram. I'm more active on there and I put everything on there. So Instagram at cosmic.native. You can also go to @theportal_EP and the new baby at aura.cbd1111. And all the information's there. And I put up videos. I'll put up this one. And I have a lot of our past podcasts and some other awake meditations on Spotify under Cosmic Native. So you can download those or link those.
Okay.
And
Well, that's great. Hey, listen, I'm glad you're back. I think you have a lot to offer. You had a question right now about who are we to be doing this, but I mean, I've been around, and you've been around for a while, but I've been around radio and TV, and I believe anything where we at least save one person a day is worth putting out this kind of information and this kind of programming. So welcome back.
Absolutely. Thank you, Abel. The last thing I want to say is my neighbor told me yesterday, we should not seek happiness. We should seek meaning. And what we do and what you do, I think we got a lot of meaning in the podcast, right?
Right. Hey,
yeah.
So remember, everybody, we're going to be having a new podcast with our podcaster, Mandy Shantyne Lopez, coming up soon. Be looking out for that. But as for me now, this is the end of this podcast. And I am Abel Rodriguez. And this was Dialogue Podcast with Abel Rodriguez. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Dialogue Podcast with Abel Rodriguez. Remember to like us on Facebook at Dialogue Podcast with Abel Rodriguez, or you can email us at Abel, A-B-E-L, at dialogueep.com. And remember to catch all of our podcasters on dialogueep.com.